Today we're in the green pastures of West Vancouver. This is Horseshoe Bay, where you can catch a ferry to Gibson's on the Sunshine Coast. And Gibson's is where my favorite TV show was filmed, The Beachcombers. I'll never forget the day I was taking the ferry to Gibson's, and there on the top deck was the star of The Beachcombers, Bruno Gerussi. I had a high school chum who was a regular on the show, so I thought that might be an acceptable excuse to pester poor Bruno, who was already being mobbed by fans. Well, sir, Bruno was the nicest, most genuine and sincere person I'd ever met. It was a lifetime highlight meeting and talking with this great man. Any loyal Beachcombers fan knows Bruno Gerussi's biography. He was born in Medicine Hat, grew up in New Westminster, studied acting in Banff, became a highly respected stage actor in Ontario, and hit it big with the Beachcombers here on the West Coast. But there is another little-known chapter in his life. Bruno spent his formative years living in a tiny hamlet in Alberta. It would be cool to go there, but it's a very expensive flight, and then I'd have to rent a car. Just for this little vlog? Well, that would be crazy. Let's go. Alright, we're at the Vancouver airport, or YVR as the kids say. And this looks like a good plane to take. DC-8 or 9 or some such. While we're 50 million feet up here, I can tell you that watching the Beachcombers with my family is a favorite childhood memory. It ran on CBC from 1972 to 1990. Bruno played Nick Adonitis, who with his buddy Jesse had lots of adventures looking for rogue logs in the ocean. But their nemesis Relic was always giving them trouble. And lots of great guest stars too, like my very good friend Chief Dan George. The characters hung out at Molly's Reach Cafe, where I believe you can still eat lunch today. And the show had a phenomenal theme song too. We're about an hour west of Calgary, along the mighty Bow River, and we're heading into the beautiful hamlet of Exshaw. It's famous for its cement plant. And when Bruno was just a little guy in the 1930s, his dad Enrico, an Italian stonemason, moved the family to Exshaw. Bruno says his dad worked on the kilns in the cement plant, and he has memories as a 4-year-old, lowering lunch down to his dad who was building the foundation for a bridge on the highway. And Bruno has a fond memory of being in a parade here when he was in grade 2. He dressed up as a cowboy. Bruno says he was 9 when they moved to New Westminster. Very little is known about Bruno's time in Exshaw, so we're very fortunate today. Local historian Dean Cooper has invited us into his lovely home to share his knowledge. Stay tuned, friends. Dean Cooper, who is an expert on Bruno Gerussi. And what is Bruno's history in the hamlet of Exshaw here, Dean?
Bruno was one of our hamlet sons, and his family came. He was not born here, they moved here. And Mr. Gerussi Sr. was a CPR employee, but he was a brick mason. And when they lived in Exshaw, he and his family began with a house that was built by his dad from brick. But when he came to Exshaw, he found many Italian families here, and many of them were very skilled because they were chosen from the marble mines in northern Italy and brought over here to mine the cement, the limestone to make cement in Exshaw.
Any stories about young Bruno?
Yes, I have one that was relayed to me by Orlando Martini, who himself was quite famous as an engineer in Canada. But they were both raised in what we call affectionately Little Italy still. And the boys were raised in homes that were working class homes, in families that were very traditional in their aspects. The families worked hard, they played hard. They were church oriented, many of them, and the boys had to make their own fun. So there was a landfill not far from Bruno's home to the west, and Orlando and the Gerussi boys would go over with broomsticks and pick up tin cans that had been discarded and practice their batting skills to see who could hit the can the highest, the furthest, the hardest, that kind of thing. So they this was the practical games that were available to them. They would have also done a lot of hiking here, fishing in the lake. Later on, he attended the Banff School of Fine Arts, and after that, Canada would know the rest of the story.
Incredible. Thank you very much for your hospitality, Dean.
Yeah, okay, Dean mentioned that Bruno's dad, Enrico, built a house for his family. And just down the road from Dean's, here it is. Incredible. Sweet little Bruno lived in there. I spoke to the current owner, who has added on to the house a little bit. He says the walls that Enrico built are thicker and more solid than all get out. One day he was here and a big Winnebago pulled up, and out came, you guessed it, Bruno Gerussi and his castmates. He wanted to show them his old home. No doubt Bruno had very fond memories of his time in Exshaw. The current owner showed me an old picture of the house in its original shape, and behind it, that's Heart Mountain. Got its name because it looks like a heart. That big mountain put a blessing down on young Bruno, and a few years later, he would steal the heart of the nation. Whole country loved that guy. We're in Banff, not too far from Exshaw. This is the Banff Centre for Art and Creativity. After high school in New Westminster, where he first performed, Bruno came here in 1946. He had a scholarship, and he says he was inspired by some great teachers here like Burton and Florence James, who later gave him an apprenticeship in their Seattle theater, where he honed his craft for 3 years. They didn't have all this great campus here in Bruno's time. It was sparse, he says. He performed in a play called Stampede and sang the Chisholm Trail. All right, it's time to fly back. And ooh, just got an idea. Let's get a bird's eye shot of Exshaw. Bruno Gerussi passed away in 1995 in Vancouver, age 67. Far too young. We lost a generous, talented, phenomenal person. He'll never be forgotten.